All right, another episode of Wild Things in Wild Places, and actually recording this on the tail end of what has been a great run of Mule Deer Days 3 or Mule Deer Days 2025. I was able to pull some folks away from their manned booth, Dr. Kevin Monteith and MFF fellow Rebekah Rafferty. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, it's been a few days, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah, we've been running and gunning the last few days. Overall, let's be fair and let's have just a little bit of a reflection over the last 3 days on Mule Deer Days. Of course, we've seen some changes that were implemented from previous years to try to continue to enhance and improve the event. I think year one, if I was on a scale 1 to 10, I'm probably my own worst critic, but I would have said we got to get our feet in the water. We got to try it and let's see, and we'll continue to improve. I would have said year one, maybe we would have probably scored a 5 out of 10. Year two, we moved to a completely different month from March to May. But I still think we moved the needle and maybe we were at a 6. And I think the trajectory is still in the right direction. I would say this year, we're not perfect. We're not at a 10 where I want us to be, but if I'm grading what I think of the show, I'd say we're 7 this year. What is your assessment?
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think the first year, man, with that sort of thing, it's innovative, it's new, you're pushing the envelope in many different ways. It was a test in a learning process at the same time. And I would never, as you noted, like calling it a 5. That doesn't mean it was a fail, because by no means was it a fail.
It was also during the worst winter in the past 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
We certainly did.
Every road closed over here or anywhere.
Roads closed and open 5 times during the event. So
which did not help with attendance, but I think you have to start somewhere, and that was an incredibly valuable learning experience. You all pulling off events like this, that's nothing new for you. However, this is bigger, greater. It reaches a vast, more expansive audience. There's a lot of educational value, potential connection that comes along with it. And I think even from that first year to last year to now this year, I think there are a lot of sweet spots that have been found, from just design, the way it's executed, to the timing, which I think is really exciting. From the way of those sweet spots and that foundation has been found, and now the opportunity to thrive from here on out, I think, is exciting.
It's good to hear your feedback on that. Of course, as my close brother, I know you're going to shoot me straight, not tell me what I want to hear. We're not looking for that. Rebekah, I know you would do the same. I think that each year still provides learning experiences and opportunities more than anything, challenges at times even. But I think we would be failing and would sell ourselves a little short if we ever got to a point where we could say it was a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Because then I think you're at the point or the plateau of accepting that this is all we got.
It's not a standstill.
And so I don't know that we're ever going to get to a 10, but I would like to think that we could get to an 8.
Yeah.
So, that you're right. You said innovative and outside the box. So that's what I wanted to visit with you about specifically, both of you, is that for the first time, we have an event that is outside the box, that was worthy of even having its own name, was worthy of a commitment to the venue, the Gateway Center, which is without a doubt probably the nicest facility in the Cowboy State, not just in Laramie, but in the Cowboy State. I'm confident I could say that and say it with great conviction. But this event, and the reason we wanted to have the name for it right out of the gate, was we're going to build this event, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to be an 8 right out of the gate. We'll be happy at this point if we can get it to a 4, right?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
4 is a win.
4 is a win. Yeah. And this event I'm referencing it's going to be called Echoes of the Track. So you can mark my words here on this date in 2025. You may have not heard of the Echoes event, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say in 3 years, when someone loosely just says, you going to Echoes? Or, nope, I'll be at Echoes. People will know exactly what that means. And this is an innovative event for a reason. This is to be able to showcase not only the great work that the Monteith Shop is doing, but the partnership and the support that Muley Fanatics has and will continue to have for the Monteith Shop and the great research that's being done. This is a fundraising event, but it is an event that we will put the fun in fundraising, but at the same time, not lose the educational component and the update to the valuable research that's going on. And there is a ton going on.
Yeah, and I think it's that, and even as you as it's been called, and as you say it, the echoes of the tracks, I think that spurs hopefully some curiosity, but the notion of, and even as you speak to some of the education and scientific pieces associated with it, why echoes in the tracks? What is that? And I think as we, and as you mentioned, deem the hope of this event being something different, certainly devoted to fundraising, but simultaneously connecting with people and educating and doing something different where a scientific entity joins this phenomenal nonprofit within the state of Wyoming and exemplifies that true and genuine partnership that exists there, and put some of that on display while also just bringing us together in a very formal way and in a different light than what we often do. And the idea behind Echoes of the Tracks, as we kicked around ideas of acknowledging this is something different and coming up with a name, I think when we see tracks in a landscape or we see a GPS track that's put on a map, we can learn something from that. We see it, it's something that exists, but those tracks mean more than just them simply existing in place. There's a lot more for them to tell us. And certainly with the work that we do, we're working to understand why those tracks are there, how they are maintained over time. And those tracks also hold within them a legacy as we're beginning to appreciate. And so there's an echo that reverberates beyond that. And if done well and if communicated well, if we think about echoes that we may experience depending upon where we're at, an echo can make you shudder, can make you listen and pay attention and appreciate something differently than you had before. And that's the whole idea around this event and the type of work that we do.
Very well said. And I think even just with the way you have described that so eloquently, I think that even looking at wildlife crossings, this big physical, tangible item on the landscape that people see, recognize what it is designed for, the value that it brings for the connectivity of our wildlife, that is really a byproduct of Echoes of the Track.
That's exactly.
I mean, those just aren't randomly placed.
Yep.
They are very scientific, to be dialed in, to be put in a position to be able to work and function and quantify their success day one. And so that's exciting for me that we're able to have those type of conversations and maybe potentially even change how people view the importance of research and its implication that ultimately leads to tangible items on the landscape to help overcome the obstacles and challenges associated with our migratory big game ungulates. But Rebekah, when we started kicking this idea around and Kevin came to the Monteith Shop team and said, hey, we're thinking about doing something like this, what was the team's initial reaction from the good doctor?
I think everyone's pretty excited. The nuts and bolts, I think, of how we're going to do this is really trying to fold in a lot of the stories that all of us at the Monteith Shop have about the animals that we interact with. So we study these animals. Right now we're studying moose, we're studying bighorn sheep, we're studying mule deer, of course. And each member of the Monteith Shop has incredible interactions and long-term stories of these individuals that they've known over time that scale up to give an example for some of the science that we've learned overall by looking at all of those tracks combined. And with this event, we're going to try to use the games, the auction items, things like that to connect people with the stories of those animals and use that as an educational opportunity, because we're really trying always to figure out how to communicate science in a way that means something to the people that care about these animals. And I think that this is an event where we're going to make some inroads in being able to do that on a bigger level.
Yeah, that's the hope and that's the intent. As I said initially, it isn't going to be perfect right out of the gate. We know that, but we're not afraid to try it. We know that the long-term vision of this, there's an empty space right now that needs to be occupied to be able to bring this to the forefront for people to rally around, celebrate, and really ultimately become ambassadors for these efforts as we continue to move forward in the years ahead. The Gateway Center, first class, we've talked about that. Probably a little bit of a shooting for the stars right out of the gate. But at the same time, if you start at a much smaller venue and then you ultimately want to get to that, I think that we're potentially missing an opportunity to establish right out of the gate that this is here to stay And we're going to grow this over the next 5 years to hopefully 5 years from now be able to say this event is an 8, just like with Mule Deer Days. It is a little unique to be talking here on the final day, Mule Deer Days, getting ready to shut down after a fast and furious 100-mile-an-hour race of 3 days of Mule Deer Days with an hour and a half left to go. And a lot of work still to be done, but to know that this is right around the corner, it's a breath of fresh air that I think invigorates me to know this has been an exhausting mentally and physically lift for us with Mule Deer Days, but put it in the rearview mirror and look ahead to something great. And I think those that are wired to look and have that type of movement and action to move forward, I think this is exciting. It's not just another chapter fundraising event, not to take away from them. There's certainly their place within their local areas that make a difference, but this one's new. And with that newness comes great elation and joy.
Absolutely. I think I can still remember the day that you brought up the idea of Mule Deer Days and this notion of, hey, we're going to do something big. We're going to do something different. We're going to go big, and we're just going to be confident and trust that the efforts are going to pay off, that it's going to work, and that it's going to become something that's institutionalized in Wyoming. An event that's wrapped around, yes, fundraising, but also education and celebration of those conservation successes as well. And this, as you were describing this event, the echoes of the tracks, it just reminded me of when you brought that up about Mule Deer Days. And it was the same kind of angle of, look, we're doing something different, which is also kind of Muley Fanatic's MO. That's just how you guys operate. And to think that there's this opportunity to try something new, to execute a new event that, yes, while it's fundraising, it's also new and fun and innovative and educational, I think holds a lot of potential to do some amazing things in the years to come. And we're certainly excited about it. We hope like crazy that we can fill the room and see it all the way to fruition as you describe.
Yeah, and right out of the gate with a new event, we know that it takes time. We're targeting for 400 people. We've given a head count to the caterer already. I picked out the menu. I've been working behind the scenes while trying to juggle this Mule Deer Days event and some chapter events at the same time. I know that we're going to have some learning opportunities. I think even the timing of this event, it's a big load for you and a lift for the team at the Monteith Shop coming out of captures, coming to Mule Deer Days. There's never that perfect weekend, but I think even with this event, we landed on a weekend. We knew some weekends that wouldn't work. We recognized that having it still in the latter part of winter or early spring is an important time frame where people don't have the other competing opportunities to be outside and enjoying our landscapes and recreational opportunities that we're afforded in Wyoming. But next year might not be on the same date, but April 5th just seemed to be like a good date that was going to work at this time for 2025, and we're committed. I guess more than anything, I just want folks to know that going into this, the effort was never less than a 10. The effort is always a 10. The results may not showcase from the outside looking in that it's a 10, but we'll continue to put in the 10 effort to get it there, and I'm very excited about this event. I'm extremely excited to be hosting an event at the Gateway Center. Of course, the Gateway Center was where the announcement was made for the first MFF Fellow with Governor Gordon and our former director, Brian Nesvik, on hand for that and to celebrate that amazing endeavor that has been tackled. And now into the future, we look into the present where we're at now with Rebekah, you as the second MFF Fellow. I'm just always mindful of that event with Dr. Taylor Lashar and how cool that event was and the venue. It's just the right place to be celebrating something as significant as this. And so I'm glad we had the guts and the confidence to say, this is it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really special. I haven't been inside that building since that day.
Oh, really?
And I just have, it was just such a celebratory environment. There's that, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a double helix of antlers or a chandelier of antlers. And just a really lovely place to celebrate science and stewardship and hunting.
Is it a little intimidating to know that days from now we'll be at about this time, setting up, getting ready for the doors to open?
Yeah, Yeah.
100%.
That is.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. It's a finish line and we'll cross it one way or another.
Yeah, a good friend of all of ours, Brian Nesvik, recently told me that great accomplishments don't come without great risk. And he doesn't own that. He said he has been told that before, but it has always stuck with him. And I think that's a testament to how he operates and his MO. But I would certainly like to think that those that are wired to be willing to do that, I think Brian would probably be the first to say, and the word that he adds to that is calculated risks. And I think we're doing that, and we're ready to give this a shot, and we're committed to it. I think it was very important for us to commit to 5 years, because if right out of the gate we're just like, oof, gosh, we missed the mark, then you don't go back to the drawing board to dial it in. You say, you start to let the fear or you let doubts creep in. And I think that's a very limiting factor for a lot of effort sometimes. And that's not on the table for us.
Yep, exactly. And I think, though maybe there's some uncertainty and we're taking some risks, at the same time, man, we're excited about a lot of things that's going to be there. And there's going to be some things there at the event, some opportunities that are going to be there that you're not going to see elsewhere.
Nowhere.
And that's part of the excitement of one, the incredible venue, but also the other things that we're going to bring to that event, the opportunities that are going to be there, the engagement. And of course, I think, honestly, I'm just excited about the opportunity and the time for conversations with folks that show up there, and having the core of your team from headquarters there and our whole team there as well. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're still with us, if you've been listening and you haven't turned this off, let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. You need to buy a ticket, and you can buy those tickets online at muleyfanatic.org. You'll see the tab that says events. Click on that. This event, again, Echoes of the Tracks. You won't be reminded of that 3 years from now. It'll be a staple word within your vocabulary of must-do items on the calendar, because I think that's where this event is headed. And it's so unique. It's so different. It's directly tied with the University of Wyoming and the foundation. There's brown and gold littered all over this event, and for good reason. Echoes of the Tracks. Anything we missed?
Come see us.
Come see
us.
Come join us. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
All right.
Super excited.
Hey, thanks for the effort here the last 3 days, 4 days really, to set up the time. You've had 2 mortalities that you've been able to pick up while you're on this side of the state and incorporate some work within this effort as well. So you've had early mornings and late nights. I know you're running on fumes and you're about to make a 5-hour trek back home. Not to remind you of it, but you will get better fuel mileage going home, I can tell you that. Gosh, what a weekend of wind, huh?
I wish I could spend every weekend in the winter based out of Rock Springs. It's been so easy to just have a full day ahead of me and run up and get a mortality in the morning.
Come back and do it.
Yeah.
Give talks and talk to people and man our booth. Yeah, it's been great.
Good.
And to take the opportunity as well, I think your team, as you know it and you've acknowledged it, but your team and your team from headquarters, from you and Joy to Janet and Chris, but also, of course, spouses and the other core people that come in and follow suit. This effort's a crap load of effort for you guys. Just to see the folks that are here, the attendance, the conversations that I know that are happening, the vendors that are as excited as they are and just feeding off of that excitement of already talking about next year. There's a lot of energy that's here, and you guys have pulled off a heck of an event, and something that I know you want it and it should be, but it's going to be institutionalized in Wyoming, and it's only going to get better, but it's really great right now.
Thanks, Kevin, for those kind words. But we're in this together.
Yeah.
All of us. It takes everyone. It takes every vendor. It takes the concessionaire that's serving great food, the establishments that are here to offer adult beverages. There are so many moving pieces, the complex, the folks that are cleaning the floors after hours or early in the morning. It's really an everyone effort, and I think everybody's in step.
Yeah.
I've had so many vendors. This has actually been a little surprising to me. These vendors, this is what they do. This is their circuit. But how many of them have said, never before have we been to an event where we feel like we can go visit with another vendor and we can create some networking and some movement together. Like, we're not competitors.
No.
We're in on this together. And that vibe, I've had many of them tell me from many of the other shows that they hit that vibe doesn't exist elsewhere. This one is a little unique. I think that's a positive. It's a strong positive. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've had some of the most powerful conversations with folks that we've had in a while here this year. And it's just some people that come every year that we're reconnecting with, and we've started to build that community, like with other vendors and people who attend every year, and then also meeting new folks. So yeah, I'd say it's 7, if not 8 for us this year in terms of just being able to connect with folks and share the story of research and everything that we do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Rebekah. Thanks for sharing that. All right, April 5th. It's right around the corner. Yeah, please, Laramie, Wyoming at the Gateway Center. Tickets, again, you can get those online at muleyfanatic.org. There'll be a link here with the podcast. You can follow that. There's multiple options on tickets, whether you want to buy a VIP table or a typical table or a non-typical table, individual tickets. Of course, kids at 10 and under are free. It's important that you bring the kiddos to these events. That's the future. So if your calendar is free April 5th, we'd love for you to give a try and see what this event is all about. And beyond just attending, we always are constantly soliciting ideas and feedback from those that support these efforts to try to continue to polish that and make it better.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Rebekah. Another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley fanatic.